Hello and welcome back. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on S3. If you have just joined us, you are just in time for our relationship discussion this morning. Because Tuesdays we do focus on all things relationships, and we always encourage you at home as well to share your stories. And we had a viewer who reached out to us for help. Let's quickly take a listen to what she had to say on our WhatsApp line.
Hi, my relationship dilemma is that my boyfriend is married, but he says that he loves me and he wants me to quit school and to quit my job and to be with him. So, yeah, that's my dilemma right now. Is that he wants to be with me, but I don't know if I'm willing to give up those things in order to be with him.
All right, so that came in from one of our viewers. I'll just reiterate. She says, my relationship dilemma is that my boyfriend is married, but he says that he loves me and he wants me to quit school and my job to be with him, but I don't know if I'm ready to give up those things to be with him.
That's a tough one. All I'm saying is that I see red flags all around, but it's not up to me. Listen, our viewer is facing a tough decision in a relationship, and she is dating a married man who wants her to quit her job and also quit school to be with him, but she's not ready to give up her independence.
Yeah, so this morning joining us to give their professional advice is Daniela. She's a FFA MAC accredited family therapist, divorce mediator, and also parenting coordinator, as well as Sadia, an HP CSA registered counselor and psychologist supervisor. We really did bring in the big guns this morning. Let's welcome them to the dive-in. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Thank you.
Spot the red flag this morning.
Ladies, I was doing this earlier. I said, this is me waving my red flags.
Yeah. Look, let's talk about it. I mean, you've heard the scenario. First thoughts and impression on this particular scenario.
Go ahead. I think the red flags, as you're saying, it's literally like it's being flagged all over. And for many years, and for the most part, you know, women have been striving for their independence. And yes, it's been achieved, but also to a certain degree and to a certain extent. But if we're looking at this scenario in particular, he's stripping her away from that independence. Not just her independence, her identity, a support system. So what I see is that he technically wants to control her whole life. And once he gets to control her whole life, she's solely and fully dependent on him. She needs to depend on him for what she eats, where she goes, for food, basically everything. Her whole life revolves then around him. So a lot of times it just, when we read it and we listen to it, just looks like it's, you know, we just see the red flags, but there's a lot more to it.
I think we can read the scenario, and for us sitting here, it's an immediate red flag and a no-go. It's like, no, we can. But I think on the other side, we must also remember, I mean, I think she might be a bit clouded in this scenario because she's got real feelings.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, I'd like to just add to what Sadia was saying, and just generally to this viewer, is that the whole thing that's been focused on here is her missing her identity, having to give up school, having to give up her job. The guy's married. What is he giving up for her?
Yes.
So, I mean, perhaps there's a cultural element that we're all missing here. But even so, for me personally, and I'm sure most people feel the same way, culturally or not, you want to be everybody to somebody, and they're already married to somebody else, and I've missed on this whole thing, whether his sacrifice is that he's getting divorced or not. So essentially, she's being asked to give up her independence, her career, her education and everything. What is he giving up to match the sacrifice, if anything? You know?
Is it a fair trade is the question you've got to ask.
Because it's interesting what she said now about the, you know, obviously understanding maybe from a cultural point of view. I mean, here it's not somebody who's, you know, wanting to be in a monogamous relationship. It's more, you know, towards polygamy's side. But the issue here is that he's asking her to leave her studies and her job.
Exactly. I mean,
That's crazy.
Just wanted
Which to me also
you know.
flags, you know, like emotional manipulation, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's also at play here because, yes, she's giving up so much and the power dynamics are now being shifted.
The thing is, we want a partner who's going to support us. I mean,
Build us
up, want the best for us. I mean, I've said it 100 times here as well, is that I'm a divorce mediator, and most of the issues that I deal with in my practice is this imbalance of power. So when we come into sessions where a relationship is breaking down, one party is always more empowered than the other.
Yeah.
And that is in a marriage where there are children, where there's potentially a stay-at-home mother or parent, and they fight tooth and nail for their independence back. Here you are a young woman, clearly a young woman, because you're still studying, you've got your whole life ahead of you, and you want to start a relationship with somebody else's man with no power at all. It just doesn't make any sense, I'm afraid.
Let's give some advice, some hard advice and truths for our viewer out here. Should she continue down this path? Sadia, where's this going to lead potentially?
Yeah, I think there's only one way to put it, unfortunately, and that is that she's going to lose herself, but not just lose herself, it's her future as well. But I also just wanted to briefly touch on, you were speaking about, asking about her feelings as well. So we can't negate that.
Absolutely.
So,
it's very real.
Yes, so even with situationships, it's like, oh no, we're going to negate boundaries, we're going to negate self-respect and just that common courtesy. So we don't want to remove her feelings and her emotions that's already involved in this, because for me, anybody in a situation like that, they're going to question everything.
Yeah.
And also not just question that, but every other relationship that they now go into. So it's setting herself up for disaster in the future. And oftentimes, even in relationships with couples therapy as well, is that couples often, whether it's husband or wife, they lose themselves in the marriage. And by the sounds of it, she's already lost herself. Yeah. And for me, I don't just want her to recognize the red flag and see it as a warning sign, as part of the package, because it's not part of the package.
Exactly.
So it comes down to, it's just going to end up in distraction.
Yeah, because we do know, look, we don't have context in terms of how long this relationship has been ongoing or so, but we know when that, initial stages of love and a new relationship, it completely clouds a person's judgment.
Absolutely.
Right? So the advice here is for our viewer to just take a step back here and look at the whole picture and try and a little bit see into the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
And it's just evaluating, is this good for me?
Yeah.
And the answer is, unfortunately, no, it's not. Because at the end of the day, what I'm thinking is, if he's done this to her, who's to say that he didn't actually do it to his wife?
Yeah.
So that toxic behavior and cycle could have just been repetitive. So for her, as you say, it's take a step back, reevaluate the situation. Is this part of my future? And for me, the answer is no.
Is no. I do want to play devil's advocate, because we do have a part 2, and maybe you guys can think about this. But what if this is a moment of growth for her? Like a moment in a journey where personal growth needs to be prompted and she's going to learn from this. I'm just going to put it out there, but we do have a part 2 coming your way. And let us know what your thoughts are on the situation by heading over to, of course, our social media pages at Expresso Shows, where you can find us and let us know, or leave a voice note if you're as brave as our viewer on 0634088863. And stay tuned, because we're going to be back with more advice from our lovely ladies.
Oh, you can make my day. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We're doing Health Tuesdays, and we're talking all things red flags with our experts, Daniela Mayer. She is a FAMAC accredited family therapist, as well as a divorce mediator and parenting coordinator. We also, of course, have Sadia Southgate, a HPCSA registered counselor and psychologist supervisor, and they join us with their advice. Now, we've gone through a little bit, but we have so much more coming your way. And we've asked you to weigh in as well when it comes to the social media comments.
Yeah, so just a quick roundup. If you have just tuned in, we had a viewer connecting with us saying, listen, this is my scenario in my immediate world, that my boyfriend is married and he's asking me to leave school and quit my job. So that's quick roundup. And there you can see the scenario on screen. And this is what we are dealing with. We did unpack it a little bit, but we asked for your advice. So let's head on over to the socials very, very quickly, seeing what you guys think about this scenario. Here we have one from Kitty Bonne. Says, girl, wake up. He's not yours. Married man never leaves their wives. I say, leave him and live the life you deserve.
Yes,
there we go.
There you go. Kitty Bonne with advice that maybe sounds experiential, but let's move on. Shahida also got in touch. Okay, saying a different opinion. Do what your heart tells you. If he's true and loves you, he would sacrifice for you to do your best. Love should be worth it. Love should be worth the wait. Don't go for someone that promises you the world. If he's married, then it's a red flag. Okay. little bit of both, but follow your heart at the end of the day is what Shahid is saying.
Okay, yeah. We have another one here from Wayne. He's married. If he loved you, he wouldn't be married. Don't give up your independence for a man who has showed you no reason that he can look after you.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Sheesh.
Okay, so there we have it. Some of our comments coming through. What do you guys make of some of those comments?
I just want to say, like, I feel like a little bit unfair to the actual person who sent this voice note in. And I think it's very difficult for us to unpack it with the little context that we got.
Yeah.
So, first off, I want to just say that there is no judgment. Whatever she decides that is right for her life, I think everybody needs to accept that. She's the one that has to live with the choices she makes.
Right.
So I think what we can do in a professional capacity is arm her with what to expect. So we deal with so many different things. We deal with, is this as a couple, this married man and this woman, do they prescribe to a monogamous lifestyle? Clearly he doesn't. But is it something that she's willing to accept? Because if he's married and he has her, is it a possibility that he's going to have 3, 4, and 5 as well?
Right.
Is he saying to her that it's her and maybe he'll leave his wife? Whatever the scenario is for her in actuality and reality, she needs to understand that she is not the only woman in his life. And because she is not the only woman in his life, it is completely her responsibility to take care of her life. If he fits into that, wonderful.
Yeah.
If her heart goes with, I want to be with him, he's married, etc., and it works for her, fantastic. I'm very happy for her, no judgment. But make sure that if number 3 comes along and number 4, where do you fit in the pecking order? Make damn sure that you have something to fall back on. And that's a growth thing, and that's a personal thing. It's not a love thing, it's not a relationship thing.
Yeah.
You cannot be unloved or not loved because you have an interest in taking accountability for your own life. And that is the bottom line in any situation.
Dropping bars, I
truths,
love it,
yeah.
yes. I'm also hearing boundaries is what you're saying, right? Sadia, maybe you could speak to that. Just erecting and respecting your own boundaries, regardless of anything that happens around you.
Yes, I think boundary starts with ourselves. You know, sometimes we think that when it comes to boundaries, it's often for other people, but it's also to protect ourselves from whatever is coming externally. So yes, boundaries often change as well. So it's not necessarily saying that if, you know, once she's done studying or she's done with school, that she may not meet someone like that again, but it's setting herself up with those boundaries to protect herself, guard her heart. But it's, as you're saying, you know, we can't really make a decision for her. And I mean, that's what we deal with in therapy, is that the client is the expert in their life. But what I'm hearing, even with the comment of Wayne, that was coming from a man saying that, you know. So when I read that, I also understand that oftentimes people tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear. And I believe that when it comes to, now, you know, with partners, is that your partner is someone that comes alongside you, and your partner complements you. Your partner motivates you with your visions, your dreams, your goals. And by the sounds of it, he wants to take that away from her, not compliment her with that, you know. So it's like you're saying, it's kind of, you know, when there's a third person or fourth person that comes, it reminds me of like going to like a grocery store, you know. You eventually in the front of the line, and by the time you get to the front, you realize you're actually in the wrong line.
Sure.
That means when you go to the next store that you actually really wanted to go to, you then start at the back of the line. And that's what it comes down to, you know. For her, she's eventually going to get to the back of the line, should there be a third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at the scenario, and like we will say it, we don't have, you know, all the context.
Right. Yeah.
We don't know what the setup there is. But I just feel, you know, for him specifically asking her to leave, she's obviously studying, she's in school, but to ask someone to leave that is already just a big thing for me, because I mean, here she is, she's empowering herself. She's obviously working on her future. She's thinking about her future, but now she's met with this kind of crossroad. And for him to ask that, and now she's blinded by love, I just think she really needs to be just careful, whatever the situation here is. We do have 2 more comments. Let's quickly take a look. What do we have here? We have Bongi saying, I'll never. So that's what this guy wants to have control over her life. She must never do that. She'll lose her freedom and herself.
Sure.
Okay, and then
We also
Kayleen.
had Kayleen saying, difficult situation.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm glad I've never had to make such a big decision. It is a big one, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's a colossal one, actually. That's going to impact her life either way, I feel.
It's going to impact her life. I think the only reasonable thing to do here is to break down the clip that we got. And we've got two issues here. We have got a relationship issue and we've got personal growth issue. And I think that the wisest thing to do here, what I would recommend, is put them in isolation of each other. Okay, let's say, let's work on the relationship. What do I expect of this person? What value does this person add to my life? And we'll deal with that on the one side. The other side is without him. What do I want for my life? And let's pretend that he is not the married man that I'm in love with, but a friend, my brother, an uncle, my father. Let's pretend one of those other important people in our lives put those boundaries on us. How would we react to them? And say, okay, if my brother told me, if you want to be my sister, you have to stop school and you have to quit your job. That doesn't seem fair. Like, what would I say to my brother? I'd be like, you must be joking. Like, I don't want you to be my brother anymore. No, but seriously, like, we wouldn't accept that from friends. We wouldn't accept that from family, because we would first say to them, why do you want me to fail?
Because those are the people that build you.
That love us. So why do the rules change when we are clouded by love? Why do we say, let's put the blinkers on, yes sir, whatever you want, just please keep me. Why do I need to be so needed by you that I'm willing to throw my entire life away for you?
I think, it comes down to, we are wired for connection. And because we are wired for connection, we are always in pursuit of, wanting to feel needed. So then the fear of rejection comes in, is that she feels possibly even in the near future there isn't going to be anybody else that wants her. So now it's the fear of rejection, a fear of abandonment. Earlier on, we were speaking even during the break about trauma. That also plays a big role in these relationships, and that can also affect in her growth, not just now, but in the near future as well. But that's what it comes down to, is the fear of rejection.
Wow.
My message to her is power the heck up. Power up. Power yourself up, level up, level up, level up. And the people that are on your level when you're at the top are the people you want to be with.
Oh, what a note to end on. Daniela and Sadia, thank you so much for joining us. This was so good. And I feel like even if you weren't in that relationship specifically, you could definitely take some notes from you guys. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you so much. And to our viewer out there, I really hope that this helped. And I think our advice and what you've heard here, take a step back, take a look at your life, see where you are with it, and perhaps closing this door and focusing on yourself. I know that you're going to open another door, which is going to be way better for you, for sure. So there we have it, our relationship talk here on a Tuesday. We'll be back next week Tuesday with another dilemma. Zanela, what did you make of that?